Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel. You got your boys here, Bert, the Hurt, and Lanny, the legend Lanny. We saw your feedback on the Thursday video. You like the nickname. Let's bring it, everybody. We're going to talk about two stocks today. We're going to put them head to head. It's funny. What's going to be unique about this video, one stock we talked about, the other one, every time we talk about it, you say, hey, dummies, look at this one. So we're looking at that one. We're no longer being dummies, everybody. We're going to talk about these two stocks in this sector with high yields right now.
Bert wants to talk about it. Before we do, guys, smash that subscribe button. Give your boys here a nice thumbs up. Two stocks, two high yielding stocks, giving you passive income, increasing that dividend every single year. Bert, who's going to win this battle? I'm excited.
Yeah, we're going to see. So what we're going to do here, we're going to take the two stocks. We're going to compare how they've grown with revenue, income, cash flow over the last 5 years. And then we're going to run them through the Dividend Diplomat stock screener head to head to see which company comes out on top. In our screener, we talk about the price to earnings ratio. We talk about the payout ratio. We talk about the history of increasing dividends. Then we talk about that bonus metric, the dividend yield. Let's go, everybody.
All right, guys, we are hopping in to the big pharma space. You guys have talked about it. We're going to bring it despite the stock market still up 16%, even though it's been kind of hit and miss rocky these last few days. Again, we're recording this here on September 5th at night, 10 o'clock actually to be exact. By the way, let me know if you guys are liking this setup for us. I changed positions, changed how the camera is set up and the lighting. Let us know in the comments. Guys, like this damn video, by the way. Let's get to 20,000 subs. But Bert, you and I both own one of these stocks. One of these stocks is 160 billion in market cap. But guess what? Both of these stocks were down this year and down heavily since last year.
Yeah.
One yield's almost 6%, one yield's almost 5%.
Yeah, I realized I didn't even turn my light on. So I just turned it on. It got a little bit brighter. Let me know if you
Oh,
notice a difference here. Let me know down there. So who are we talking about? We're in the pharma sector. The one we always talk about, Pfizer, ticker symbol PFE. The one you guys say, hey, dummies, check this one out. Bristol Myers Squibb, ticker
who
symbol
you who
B
you telling,
N
dummy?
Y. And you know what? Let's just jump right in. Let's look at the metrics here. I'm going to talk through Pfizer, Lanny. I'm going to go through what their financials have done over the last 5 years. You can handle Bristol after that. Pfizer revenue in 2023 was 58.5 billion. That's up from 40.9 billion and 43%. I'm going to tell you what, that is extremely misleading because that is not the problem with Pfizer. The problem with Pfizer is it went like this in that period. It went whoop and back down because the COVID vaccine gave them quite a jolt. In fact, in 2021, I believe they had over 100 billion in revenue. That was the peak. Obviously, it's going to come down. It just hasn't been the same since then. Net income has fallen during the period. It's down 86%, where in from where it was in 2019 at 16 billion to last year it was 2.1 billion. Cash flow from operations is down too. In 2019, it was 12.6 billion, down to 8.7 billion, so down 31%.
Yeah, pretty interesting ride for the Pfizer, the big pharma guys. They had a lot going on. Obviously, the COVID boom, and then they had the nice Viatris spinoff as well. So they've had a little bit going on here. Not to give them any sort of break by any means. We
Mm-hmm.
are stubborn dividend investors over here, by heart, by nature. But the one thing, as Burke covered all the way through 2023, even through the mid-year this year, they're actually raising a lot of their guidance as well right now. We're raising their adjusted diluted EPS guidance. They're raising their revenue guidance. So things, I think they finally have gotten through the downturn with COVID, Bert. You know what I mean?
Sure,
And
absolutely.
I think they're all about like, all right, let's resume back to almost, let's get back to business as normal. It was nice to see that Revenue was actually up in the second quarter of 24 versus the second quarter of 23. Obviously trying to still, cut costs and take impairment charges and going through all of that as well. So, I'm, not to say I'm bullish on Pfizer to see if they have a second coming here, but it seems like they're trying to get out of those woods.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'll take some time to replace the COVID vaccine and what you spun off. So absolutely. And again, 58.5 billion in revenue last year is nothing to sneeze at. That's fantastic. It's a lot of money. 8.7 billion
Not
is fantastic. It is a lot of money. It absolutely is. So let's talk about Bristol. BMY. That
Bristol
revenue,
Myers, baby.
29 in 2019 it was 26.1 billion. 2023, 45 billion. Up 72% since then. Income even more, 3.4 billion in 2019, 8 billion 2023, up 133%. Cash flow from operations was 8.2 billion in 2019, 13.9 billion here in 2023, up 68%. Beautiful.
Oof, man. How about that for Bristol Myers Squibb, BMY? A lot of you guys out there, do you guys own BMY or you guys a Pfizer PFE investor? Let us know before we jump into the three metrics, the Dividend Diplomat stock screener. But we're going to hit them first with, you want to do Pfizer or you want to go
Let's do
metric by metric?
let's do metric by metric. Since this one is a true head-to-head comparison, I can take Pfizer, you take BMY. Pfizer's PE ratio at the time of this video, their price is 28.51. Earnings per share is $3.86. PE ratio is 7.39.
Oh man, 7.39. Well, BMY trading at $49.80 for this $101 billion market cap company. Again, down about 6% this year. Expected earnings 698, 7.13 PE. So just below big pharma Pfizer.
Ooh,
Just below.
I love it. So just below, both are very low compared to the S&P 500. Pfizer pays an annual dividend of 168. That's a payout ratio of 43.52%. So at the low end of our perfect payout ratio range, it's just 40% to 60%.
Yeah, I mean, all right. You kind of go, all right, I see what you're doing over here. BMY on the other hand pays about 60 cents a share a quarter.
Mhm.
About 34% dividend payout ratio. Pretty safe for BMY, Bert. Pretty safe. Much safer than technically Pfizer.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. Especially
Yeah.
with how much R&D is needed for these pharmaceutical companies, having a lower payout ratio is probably the better direction of where you want to go.
Not a bad direction to go. What about that growth?
4.42% 5-year dividend growth rate for Pfizer. Increase that dividend for 13 years.
Yeah, they're on that like 1 penny kick right
Not
now.
great. Not great. Not great.
Um, but meanwhile, BMY is like hold the beer. 7 years, 7.77%. Lucky fucking sevens, baby.
I love it. And let's look at the yield. 5.89% for Pfizer. That's well
Ooh.
above their 4.2% 5-year average yield.
Who's been buying shares of Pfizer stock for the yield and for the income? Let's see those comments below. BMY though is at 4.82%, so about a percent lower currently than Pfizer.
All right. All right. Market cap wise, Pfizer 160 billion versus 101 for BMY. Interestingly, Lanny, I think that we skipped over the performance, so let's just cover that. Pfizer
Yeah.
down 4.1% year to date, 19% over the last year, down 17.55% over the last 5 years.
Mm.
All negatives
BMY.
across the board.
Well, BMY has got you beat on the 5 year. Technically, so down 6% year to date, down 18% since last year, up 3% over 5 years.
So interesting. Both companies are interesting. We'll put the metrics up here side by side. P ratio, BMY is lower. Payout ratio, BMY is lower. 5-year dividend growth, BNY is higher. They've increased dividend increase streak. Pfizer technically takes that one. Yield, Pfizer is higher by 1%. Performance, short term, I guess Pfizer is less of a loser than BMY over the last year, but in the last 5-year period, BMY is on top, but both are significantly trailing the S&P 500.
Interesting. I mean, two high yielding pharmaceutical stocks. You're looking at $260 billion worth of pharma here, guys, by market cap. I own such a big position in Pfizer. I'm not running to buy either or. I got AbbVie. I've got some exposure to pharmaceutical. My Viatris. I can keep going down to Glasgow.
No, for sure. I will say this. I'm not buying either right now, but I will give the community props on this one because everyone that's always said you need to check out BMY every time you talk about Pfizer. You're right. We should have been checking out BMY all along and talking about them too, because metrics wise, BMY is looking solid, even though you're taking slightly less dividend yield. Their metrics look great too. So kudos to the community. BMY, if you pick them over Pfizer, over some of the other ones similar to Pfizer, kudos to you. It's also a
Yeah.
great, you can't discount that.
BMY really is crushing it, like you said. Great net income growth, great revenue growth, great cash flow growth. So they're really hitting all of those three big pieces from a cash and production standpoint, guys. Which one do you take though? Let us know in the comments. Is it Pfizer stock or Bristol Myers stock? Let us know your pick, guys. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Let's get to 20K. Bert, hit him with the sweet chin music.
You're either with us or you're against us, Jack.
That was Bert, the Hurt, and Lanny from the Dividend Diplomats. Over and out.